Now we're joined by Pitt basketball coach Jeff Capel. Jeff, do you remember your first concert as a kid?
I do, yes. I was living in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I went with my dad. My dad was an assistant coach at Wake Forest. I went with the players. It was Run DMC, LL Cool J, Public Enemy, Houdini, Dougie Fresh. It was incredible. It's the best concert I've ever been to in my life.
What a way to kick it off.
I was going to follow that up, Jeff, and go, yeah, okay, that was the first one.
The bar pretty high.
What's the best one? And then you got halfway through that list, and I said, well, don't ask that question. I know what the answer is going to be. Holy crap,
Eric
man.
B. and Rakim were there. It was incredible.
How old would you have been for that, Jeff?
I was probably in like 7th grade or 8th grade.
Oh, that's perfect.
And you're going with your dad and a bunch of the players. Like you got to
really
feel
cool.
like you got to feel like you are on top of the mountain at 12 or 13 years old, man.
That's awesome, man.
Man, I felt like I was playing in the ACC.
Well, that's how the ACC feels right now with 4 teams into the Sweet 16, a quarter of the field that's left. Jeff, just your take on what this much maligned conference, in air quotes, has been able to do in the Big Dance.
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised. Every year that we've gotten to the NCAA tournament, every year during the NCAA tournament, I should say, ACC teams produce at a very, very high level. There's a narrative that's been out there for the past few years about the ACC being down. I'm not really exactly sure where that comes from, how it's gotten started, how it continues to be on the forefront of some of the talking heads' mind, but it's not true. And I think when you look at the 16 teams that are still playing, 4 of them are from the ACC, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them advance.
Jeff, how do you feel about the way that the tournament actually selects its teams? Because it just I'm sitting here as an outsider, as a fan and a lay person on this, and it just seems frustrating that it comes way too much to formulas and out-of-conference stuff. And Jay Billis, I think, has said this the most eloquently, almost like how a team is playing if they are close to the bubble almost goes out the window in some cases. NC State wouldn't have even been in. They look pretty good. They had to win the tournament, obviously, to get into the big one. But just do you like the way that this is actually done right now still?
I don't, because I think, and it's been proven, that there's a way you can manipulate the numbers. And I think it's been proven this year that certain conferences or a certain conference, did that. And power to them. Like, they were smart to do it. And it was a collective effort of people getting together and coming up with a plan, try to figure out how do we get the most teams, from our conference in. So I don't like the way the process is going. I think sometimes, too much emphasis is put on, what you do in non-conference, and especially in today's environment with the non-conference strength of schedule. That was a big thing, and especially with us. Ours was not good this year. Coming into it, we didn't anticipate that. We didn't anticipate West Virginia having the year that they had. We didn't anticipate Missouri having the year that they had. In our MTE, we played against Florida, who was good, but then we ended up playing in the consolation game, Oregon State, who did not have a good year. I think you don't really know your team, and you will not know your team, especially in today's climate of college athletics, especially college basketball, because you have so much transferring. You have so many – you don't know your roster. Last Monday opened up the transfer portal. Why it was open the day after Selection Sunday, I have no idea. It's another thing that doesn't make sense. But by the end of the week, there were over 900 kids in the transfer portal. And so you don't know your team, and so people are working out the kinks earlier. You're getting to know your team. And then, if you look at us, the last 15 games, our last 16 games, going into the last game against Carolina, we were 12-3. North Carolina was 12-3 in the conference during that time. I thought we were the 2 best teams. We had road wins. We had beaten quality opponents. And I thought we were playing our best basketball. That's why it really hurt so much.
We're talking to Jeff Capel here on our Feed the Need Radiothon. You can text NEED, N-E-E-D, to 5015 today. Still have time. Well, actually, there's a new promotion now. $50 donation gets you Millie's ice cream for a year. So I guess I'll ask another question about that. Jeff, what's your favorite ice cream flavor?
I go back and forth between cookies and cream and mint chocolate chip.
Donnie, you're a cookies and cream guy. You must like that answer.
Now hold on, Jeff. Pony has something to share with you. Mine could change like by the minute, so it's not even interesting because it's the typical ones. But Pony, what are your favorites again?
I like pistachio and rum raisin.
Yeah. How old are you again?
I'm 38.
You're sure you're not 83?
You said those sound like nursing home flavors the last time I brought it.
I've never heard of rum raisin.
Exactly.
Oh, it's Haagen-Dazs. It's a Haagen-Dazs brand flavor.
Jeff, he made it up. He made it up, or his grandmother serves it to him.
So Jeff, you brought up the non-conference number and then what happened with the teams you guys played. Do you have to go back to the drawing board and change the way you schedule games in November and December, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think we have to always look and try to see what's the best for our team and what's the best for our program. I mean, I think we've tried to do that. We've attempted to do that the past couple of years. If you look at last season, we ended up in the MTE. We played Michigan. Michigan was very good when we played them. They did not have a good year after that. They didn't make the NCAA tournament, but we ended up playing at Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt came on. They didn't make the tournament, but they played really well. And obviously that win at Northwestern. This year, the way we looked at it, I knew we were going to have a young backcourt. I knew we were going to be playing two freshmen in the rotation. We thought there would be another guard that we would have, but he would also be a freshman. We were going to have two guys that were moving up with Ish, a level from the A-10 to the ACC, with Zach, a couple of levels, from the Big South to the ACC. And so we staggered our schedule. We didn't play the West Virginia game as early as we have since I've been here. And so we had those 4 games early, and we wanted to get our feet wet. That's just – I thought it was smart. In the end, it wasn't. The MTE, we knew Florida, Baylor were there, Oregon State. We were given Missouri in the SEC Challenge. They were a top 4 team in the SEC last year with 3 starters back. And then obviously West Virginia probably had the best recruiting class in the portal. Their season was turned upside down in the summer. And so, yeah, we have to look at what is going to be the best thing for us to position ourselves to be able to participate in the postseason. We also, as a league, have to be more together and figure out, ways as a league to get more teams in. It's ridiculous for our team, for the ACC, to only get 5 teams in. And
I don't know how you've even watched the tournament, Jeff, just to be completely blunt with you, man.
Yeah, I haven't. I have not. I've not. This is the first time in my life that I have not watched the first weekend of the NCAA tournament. My staff and friends would tell me score. Huge shout out to Duquesne, man, and to Keith Dambrot and that staff and those guys. I didn't watch it. I watched the end of their Atlantic 10 championship game because I wanted to see Keith celebrate. I just, man, what he and his family have been through this year and how he kept those guys together. I think I heard during the championship game that they started out 0-5 in the conference.
They did, yep.
Yeah, it's a testament to them, man, and not only to get hot and to play well, but to win a game in the tournament. But I've not watched any. My best friend is the head coach at Northwestern. I watched
Chris
a
Collins.
little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of their game against Florida Atlantic just to try to support him. But, man, I had to turn it off because I'm looking at it and I'm thinking to myself, and there's no disrespect to Chris, but we're better than both of these teams. And so it's been really frustrating.
Well, I mean, I don't blame you because I'm sitting here watching Baylor look like a Final Four team in the round of 64, and then they get handled by
Clemson.
What else? An ACC team.
Yep.
Jeff,
Yeah.
I do want to get on to something that maybe is a little bit more pleasant, and that's just you mentioned your young guards. Just because
we love these guys,
Yeah,
Jeff.
we do. Me and Andrew a little bit. We're both hoops guys. We both grew up playing it. We both love the sport a ton. It was just a lot of fun to watch Jalen and Bub come along this season, especially with the way Jalen took over once he got into the starting lineup. Can you Just talk about what your observations of both of those guys were this year.
Yeah, well, when we recruited them, I knew that they were good, and I knew that we were going to need them to grow up very fast. But they were better than I think any of us even anticipated. The start that Bub got off to, we're sitting there looking during the first game like, yo, is this real? Like, I'm literally asking my staff that. Like, then it's, okay, can he sustain it? And then the next game, and then, the first 4 games, you're looking like, my goodness. It took Jalen a little bit longer. He was dealing with an injury that we never talked about, and he never talked about. But he didn't, early in the season, he didn't have the burst that he normally had because the injury was something with his leg. But once he got that back, and we took off when he, finally started to get it.
Yep.
And those 2 guys, along with Ish, I mean, I thought by the end of the year, I thought we had the best backcourt in the ACC. And I thought we had a backcourt that can compete with anyone because those guys weren't freshmen anymore. And so it was really exciting to watch them grow up. And they're such great kids, and they want to be really good. They're naturally competitive, and they're really, really smart. And so to be able to watch that, it stinks just because now, college basketball is so different now. You think, before, and I'm not saying I think we'll get them back. Bub will, I think the competition with Bub will be the NBA. I think that's it. Does he want to pursue a professional career now, or does he, want to wait another year and continue to get better? But, in the past, okay, this is going to be my backcourt, and we got this, and now just college basketball, our sport is just, it's so different now. But those guys were terrific, man. Really, really great.
Hey, Jeff, one more on Bub real quick, just because you said you think the competition's probably with does he want to go pro. If you are talking to NBA people and you end up hearing maybe something that surprises you, they say, this guy's ready right now. There's not a ton maybe that can be polished between this year and next year. He's ready. He's going to get picked probably in this range. Like, how do you handle that? What's the best way? You just got to go tell your guy, hey, I think you got to go. This is what people are telling me. Like, how do you navigate that kind of a situation?
Yeah. Well, how I've always done it, and for me, the first time I ever experienced anything like this as a head coach was when I was at Oklahoma, and it was after the 2008 season. I had Blake Griffin, and I talked to him, and I said the same thing to Bub when I met with him after the season, and I met with his parents also. Just, I will get you real information. I'm able to do that with my connections. You don't have to listen to an agent. You don't, because these people are trying to get you to go because that's how they get money. I will get you real information. I want what's best for you. I will give you my opinion if you ask for it, but I'm not going to tell you what you should do unless you ask. So it was funny, and I told Lil Bub this story. I did that with Blake. Blake, after his freshman year, he wanted me to get information for him. And so I came back, and I met with he and his parents after about a week, and I said, okay, the lowest you'll go is 4. You won't go 1. Derrick Rose will go 1. 2, 3, and 4 will be between you, Mike Beasley, and Kevin Love. My guess is that when it's all said and done, I think you'll go 2. Then he wanted to talk to his parents, take some time. He came back a week later, man, and he told me he was staying.
I remember that.
And my first question was like, why? Like, are you serious? Like, what are we talking to you? I need you to convince me. And his thing was that he didn't feel like he was ready. He didn't feel like his game was ready. He felt like physically he could, but just also the emotional part of it. Like, he wasn't ready yet to be a pro. Like, he was still 18, 19 years old, and he wanted, when he wanted to be ready. And so that's the same information I would give to Bub. I'm gathering information for them, for he and his family. And my thing is, man, I just want what's best for him. And I'm going to support them regardless. This relationship will be a lifetime relationship. And whatever they want to do, I'm going to be there to support them, whether it's to come back. I think if he comes back, I think he has a chance to be one of the best guards, one of the best players in the ACC, best players in the country. But if he goes, he has such upside. Look, he won't turn 19 until July 21st.
Wow. I didn't know that.
I think Yeah, I think he's going to continue. I think he's going to grow. I think he's got another growth spurt. And I think his best basketball is ahead of him. It's just, I think what it's going to come down to with him, do you want to stay here in college and get better, be a part of a really good team next year and, maybe make some noise, or do you want to go be a pro and really not be a kid anymore, but be a pro? And so I think that's what it's going to come down to.
And by the way, as an aside, that Blake Griffin decision ended up costing my Syracuse Orange game of the tournament, and then Tony Crocker with his long sleeves and Jeff pouring holy water on his hands before that game. I'm dead serious about all this. And then
remember that?
Yes, I do.
Oh, we talk about that often.
I wake up in
Jeff.
a cold sweat about that game. Jeff, the guy hitting his head off the backboard and still making a play. It was unbelievable. So
it's crazy. Somebody just sent me a bunch of clips on Blake from college. It was like this mixed thing from college, and it was a few of those plays from Syracuse.
All right, Jeff. Thank you so much. Congratulations on another outstanding year. You entertained us throughout. We wish we could have watched you in the tournament, but that's, like you said, a sensitive subject. You're the best. We'll talk again soon. Thanks for coming on with us today, Jeff.
Take care.
Yep, Jeff Capel.